Good morning, and happy Sunday, everyone. Hope you're having a great day. Hope your week was really good, too. I need to switch over to the main screen. Things are going pretty well for me. I got a chance to sleep in a little bit. Feeling well rested, unlike, previous weeks where, man, I was just tired every single day, no matter what. So today, feeling pretty good. I just tried pushing what we had as a pull request starting on Friday, and unfortunately that failed. Now, I think there's a couple of reasons that it may have failed. One of them, I realized that I'm using apt instead of apt-get. And so that's like, it shouldn't actually cause a problem, but in apt is meant for interactive usage, and apt-get is meant for scripting, and this is definitely a scripting use case here. So I want you, update you, and push you back up. All right, and that should update our pull request automatically. Now it failed right away, so we want to go take a look at that. See, here you are with our pull request. We're going to watch it. Hopefully this will go through. The plan is, what I ended up doing was I broke. No, it immediately failed again. All right, what happened? What's going on? Okay, it failed on install packages. So we run this apt-get command and, unable to fetch some archives. Do I need to run apt-get first? Apt-get update first? Maybe. Let's try that. Come back to here. We can do a sudo. Maybe run this as like a previous step up here. Name update. Now, update doesn't update any packages, but what it does do is update the repositories so that it knows where the packages come from. So it's possible that they're out of date, or maybe they just updated, like did an upgrade or something. I mean, it's Docker images. It shouldn't really matter, but let's try that. And we'll push that on up, and we'll see how this goes. And my tea is ready. All right, well, that is not a complete failure instantaneously, so that's a good sign. If we go take a look at this pull request, install packages, it's just starting with that, so it still could fail. However, it's past the, has it really started? It's hard to tell. Okay, hopefully it's not anything like GitHub is down and can't like actually show. Okay, no, install packages worked. Okay, perfect. Perfect. So everything should work just fine. Let's go ahead and double check that locally here. If we run cargo test, just all the tests. Now this includes the non-CI tests. And we get those flashing, that's not gonna work on the CI, but we have a fix for that. Cargo test, CI test. And we only have one of those, I think, right now. Oh, we have 3 tests. Okay, that's perfect. And if we do a cargo run, we'll see we have our player that we set up on Friday standing on our surface. Now, what I decided to do right before the stream, where are you? You're right here. Add the player to the game. I decided to remove the other parts of the requirements for this issue, so there's no movement parts. It's just adding the player to the game. Because what we did in here was really set up the images struct and set up basically the system for us to add images to the game. Now, I created a make player run now, and so that's going to be having the player move left and right. And so we're going to have to basically set up some kind of like physics system for the actual movement. We'll also have to set up the, what is it? We'll have to set up the, something else. Chantilly, hello, good morning. You're testing yawning, which does not work on any of the displays that I have for chat. Do you see something with yawning? Is there an emoji that you get? Anyways, so for this, I'm thinking that we're gonna want a input device, like not a controller, but like a manage input, and that will basically take in the raw controller inputs and then convert them into commands, and then those commands are what we're going to send in. So that way, each of the like components won't have to work like to figure out what those are themselves. Oh, you saw it before. We can't find it today. Oh, like a yawning thing. I wonder if it's was it on somebody else's stream? Maybe it was a subscriber only emote. All right, so it's running through the test. It has to compile every single time, even though we have the, we're trying to run the cache. So I must have set up the cache incorrectly, or is this just not working yet? So as soon as it's done, we can start with the next one. So talking about emotes, I do have room to create at least one more emote. And I don't know what that would, what I want that to be. Wait, GitHub Actions? Can I actually see that? Add a workflow, delete workflow. Oh, okay, so I can create. Oh, they have templates that I can use. Oh, that's pretty cool. I really wish that this would show me what the result of the action was. That's kind of what I was expecting it to be. Let's see. I know there's a, here it is. Pull requests. Oh, I can't click on this either. No music today. I am trying to play some music. Maybe it's a little bit too quiet. I see the music. I see like the OBS sound bar moving. Is it? Are you unable to hear it? It's very quiet music. Maybe this is just a bad song. All right, this one has a beat. I think the last one was just like weird ambient. Something. Better now? Oh, awesome. Okay. So I'm sad that I can't actually see like the result of the pull request or the result of the GitHub actions running inside of GitKraken. That would have been really nice. Instead, we just gotta wait until these are done. And we see that it's run through everything. It's just going to be doing the compile step, and it compiles as production, so or release mode, which is basically like the final check to make sure, hey, is everything good and all that. Anyway, so if we go back to let's set up. If we go back to our code and what we want to do with this, I want to. We're gonna have to have like a physics system for our game object. We're gonna have to set up a physics, like a player physics system. We're going to have to add like what our movement speed is and figure that out. We're also gonna have to figure out what the left and right buttons are. We're gonna be using the direction pad for this. And probably some kind of a handle input struct or controller or something that's going to take in the raw commands and convert them into enum commands that then we can pass through. And so that'll be like, hey, we're moving right. Okay, we're moving right now. Or hey, we're standing. Or I guess like it's commands, it would be like pressing right. Like I guess move right would be the command. Okay, you're done? One of them is done. The other's on the way. Aha, it's got to run its build too now too. We can see that these take. Let's see, ignoring the failed ones. It looks like it's taken around 11 minutes, 47 seconds. And almost all of that is compilation time. Very little of that is like the actual running of the tests or the running of the lints or anything else. It's basically just like install everything and then compile forever. And it has to compile like twice, maybe 3 times. It's yeah, that getting that cache would be really nice. All right, so one thing that we can maybe start doing. Let me also, before I forget, turn on line highlighter. It's probably going to be something here in our source. We're going to want to create the new file. I don't know if it needs to be a new folder. Maybe it would be a good idea if it was. If I do new file and we do this as like handle input. And, you know, do I want this to be a struct? It might be a good idea if this is a struct because then I could store that away. Well, although it might be good to just have this be a function. And if it's a function that is like just a run, then what we do is we pass in that gers, G-I-L-R-S. I don't even know how to pronounce that. Okay, you're passed. We can merge you in. And then we can delete that branch and clean up you. Oh, we need to unstash you too. Pull you down, and then we'll pop our stash out. So here's our. Well, all we've done is created this file, but now we're in the main branch again. So we're all good here. These testing tests I can delete. That I was testing some other things, and that did not work for us. But I don't need them. All right, let's now start creating our handle input. So the idea is in our main library, when we get to update, I want to be able to convert the actual, like all of this stuff, where we're taking in the button pressed and like actually checking which button was pressed. I want to then have this return some kind of command, like some kind of command. So maybe it's like a command. No, handle input is probably best. SureShock55 redeemed Pet the Cat. Good morning, SureShock. Let's see, is Zilby here? Let me go check, see if Zilby is right outside. I found the cat. We have a kitty cat. Oh, I need to. You're missing Lord Musean. Yeah, I saw like Musean was streaming a lot last week. He used to stream every Sunday, but this week he's not. Oh no. I wonder. Yeah, Kitty loves being cuddled. When Kitty is in a sort of like a tired sort of hanging out phase. When he's in a playful phase, not at all. He's just gonna be, well, he'll be attacking your hand. But he's probably tired now because it's like mid-morning. Can put him to sleep by petting him. Are you done? Do you want to sleep now? You can go here. And I'm going to move that little camera. Right there. What? No. Come on, Wire. Work with me. Oh, come on, Wire. Okay, I'll put you... Here, you get a very close-up shot of Zilby's face. Yeah, he does. He loves one of the reasons we got him at the shelter was they noted that he loves being cuddled. And so we're like, okay, we want a cat that's very playful. Oh, never mind. He's You want out now, Caddy? You want to play? No? Maybe? I think he wants out. Okay, I'm gonna let him out then. He might grace us with his presence again. We cannot make Kitty do things. Kitty will decide what you have to do. Exactly. That is exactly it. All right. Is nobody on the other side? I think I just let him into an empty room. I'll leave the door slightly adjourned so that Kitty Cat can decide to come back in. All right, so handle input. We basically want to have some kind of enum that will be displayed out. So if I do something like pub enum command, the first command that we're really going to care about here is going to be move right. And we're probably going to want some kind of a function that's going to be passed in. What is this? Like the gamepad event. Now, self gamepad event, next event. So if we take a look at self-type gamepad, gears new. Okay. Oh, so maybe we could have our handle input store the gamepad like this. And that might make it a little bit easier for us to, like, we don't have to like store it in here. We'll store just our handle input that stores the gamepad. So in that case, that lets us know we should definitely have some kind of handle input struct for us. So let's go ahead and start. Did I create it? Test section. Oh, I did. This is going to be, I don't know if we're going to do a CI test. CI test. Create handle inputs. And then you are going to be, let's handle input equals input new. When we create that, it's just going to create this gears new, but we're probably going to need to pass in the config, so at least it knows what it's going to be looking for. That's what's going to be important here. So we'll have the config. And my guess is we need to unwrap this. So we'll just return a game result. So we need to reference this. Okay, your config.json, unwrap, and okay, so that gives us a config. We can now run this handle input, but of course it's saying, hey, we don't have a handle input. So let's go ahead and create that. So we know we need to take in a config, which is a reference to a config. And we're going to return a game result that has self in it. Okay, so that sets us up for this. So obviously if this works, our test is fine here then. But one of the big things that we care about here is that gears thing. We need to be able to store that away. So we're gonna store a gamepad, which is type this gears. Okay, I don't know if it's possible to compare gears together. We can try that. So if I do gears new, question mark that, and then we're going to add, store that away. So then you're all happy, and then in here, let's try, can I do assert equal? Handle input dot gamepad is equal to gears new. Does that work? Probably not. Yeah, okay, so it doesn't implement equals. Like it can't like compare them to each other. So instead of that, all we can do is just say, hey, does it, does this work? Like, are we able to pull, like, to actually create it? So now that we've created it, I want, when we press the right-hand button, I want us to move to the right. So we want to create the command move right. So what does that look like? We need, so that's our new. And if we replace this up here, so instead of gamepad, we're now going to do a handle input. You're now a handle input. Okay, so you are a handle input is going to be a handle input new. And you are handle input. Okay. We need to pass in config. Okay, good for that. Now over here in update, we need to, okay, so we get the button press. So every time we run, maybe like run, Chantilly Cake redeemed change music station. We can definitely do that. Change music station. So currently we're on just straight up pretzel, all the tracks. Let's go to let's try synthwave. Let me know if that one's good. All right, so we want to be able to now basically do this, and we want a command out of it. So gears event type. Right, okay, so like this is basically if the button pressed. So we're just figuring out like getting what the button is. You can't hear anything? Man, I can hear it on my speakers. Try turn up the volume. I'll turn up the volume for you a little bit. All right, how about that? I want to make sure it doesn't overwhelm my voice too. Shishak asks, does HR read CVs and cover letters? And if yes, what do they focus, like projects, experience, etc.? So I haven't worked at HR, so I don't know if I can answer from like the HR perspective. I can answer from the hiring manager perspective. Yes, I do read the cover letters. I find that they're a lot more interesting than the resumes, which I pretty much just skim. Basically, with the resume, I'm looking for do you have the bare minimum that could possibly work with what I'm looking at, and what we're looking for bare minimum is not necessarily what is on the job description. So that's a fun fact. For the cover letter, I'm looking for who you are, like a personality type thing. Resumes are just sort of like, you don't really get to sell yourself very well. That's where the cover letter comes in. So I'm looking for like a sale, like this is like, this is what I've done in the past. Maybe like if you see yourself as somebody who's like that, like somebody who like ties entire teams together and makes them like, really happy as they're doing stuff, I want to see that during the cover letter. If you're somebody who just like gets the job done and you stay late all the time, I want to see that in the cover letter. If you are the type of person who never like just like does test-driven development and has like pushed back against their management to make sure that the testing is right before it goes out, and you've like that has helped your company in the past, that's the perfect thing to go into a cover letter, because you're able to now give context. That's what the really big thing is. Cover letter gets to put context for everything that's in the resume. So if you say like, oh, test-driven development, yay, what does that even mean? I don't know if that means you just took some courses on it or if you've actually used it in reality. And of course, you can put in like a couple little blurb and like your job description of like, oh, I implemented test-driven development to increase confidence in our builds and decrease regression bugs by 85%. That's all great, but in your cover letter, you can say, when I was at a previous company, at my last job, I fought hard to implement test-driven development, and after having implemented it, I can honestly say that I want to work in a TDD for all companies that I work in the future. And the reason is, and you just go on like that. It's very conversational almost. TDD freezes your mind, but you do write tests after writing prototypes. Well, and that's the big thing. Is like, it doesn't matter. I'm using TDD because it's an easy example. Whatever it is that like is your sell. Like what things, like 1 to 3 things they provide value for, better than anybody else. If you put those in a cover letter for like, this is why I'm awesome, it's gonna give you that leg up on somebody who either doesn't have a cover letter or their cover letter is just like, hello, please hire me. I have worked many, many days, years. I have 23 years of experience, and my 15-page resume will state how many technologies that I have used. Please hire me. Bye. Like that you're gonna kick everybody's butt if you have a cover letter that actually like gives your personality. I think cover letter is more important than resume. I mean, so here's the thing. Once it gets to me, yes, absolutely yes. The problem is you have to get through HR and potentially a recruiter too, depending upon if you're what you're like, what kind of job you're going for. And HR cares about that resume. The recruiter cares about that resume. They may not even, I don't know if they're going to look at the cover letter at all. So tailor the resume for the for HR. Like if the job description says, I want you to do this, then make sure you put as much of that into your resume as possible. Do people submit CV that is more than oh god? And the last time that we were hiring, I got a CV that was like 5+ pages long. It was like, yeah, people do that. I've worked really hard to try to get mine down to like 1.5 pages at most. It's not that. Mine is like, I've had a lot of different jobs, so it's like tough to get it down, but I still somehow managed to do it. And why do hiring processes never inform like we have rejected you? And doesn't reply. So I've got a lot of thoughts about that. At my at this last time, my like higher up, they were just saying like, oh well, we're not like, just don't reply. It'll be less time for us. I think that's what it is. I think it's just time. Like, also, there's a psychological, like, remember, everybody's human, right? There's no robots doing any of this except maybe at Amazon. Except they turn theirs off. What happens is, psychologically, when you tell somebody, hey, I know you applied for this job and you're not going to get it, and you're sending them an email for that, that's really hard. There's a lot of like emotional like things that people go through. People are like, don't like to tell people bad news. And so people would rather not tell you anything at all than tell you the bad news. I don't have the book here, but there's 2 books, Crucial Conversations, and the other book is, oh man, I just forgot the name of it, and I wish if I remember it all, I'll bring it out. But both Crucial Conversations and other book really talk about how it's super important to tell people bad news. It's really important to tell people when things are not going their way. And because otherwise, how can they get feedback? Now, that being said, for legal reasons, if you do get like a rejection notice, it's usually just going to be, thank you for applying at this time. You don't meet our requirements, or you don't have like the skills that we're looking for, or something very generic like that. And that's a legal reason, because if you say anything specific, you open yourself up to lawsuits in America, at least. And it's terrible, but it's one of those things I was like, oh man, like it sucks. So you have to do that. You as a company, you just have to like be that generic. Why hiring process always asks what's your expected salary? Well, that's negotiation. That's just simple negotiation tactics. The company wants to pay you bare minimum for what you're gonna work at. Now that being said, like me, I'm not like, yes, I represent the company when I'm hiring, but also like for me, I really want my team to make like enough money that they're not just gonna leave within 1 year. So I always argue for like higher salary, but in startups, it's really hard. That being said, I don't ask for the salary stuff when I'm hiring, but HR always does. Recruiters always do, and that's because they're gonna try to like negotiate on like, oh well, like we have this band, and we know that software developers and like in this area, that stuff like make between this amount. So can we just pay you this? And if your expected salary is up here, we can just say no to you right now. I don't like it at all. And I vaguely remember, is anybody from California here? Did they just make that illegal? Oh wait, no, it's Denver, Colorado. It's now illegal in Colorado to ask about expected salary ranges here. So that's actually like know your laws. There might be laws in your area that actually prevent them legally from asking you that question. And if you know that, you can say no. Yeah, it's brand new in our state, which I'm super happy that they did it. I've not had to like look for a job since they started that, so I haven't like experienced whether or not it's actually happening or not, but it's good to know that the state is trying. Sometimes you feel if people demand low salary, they think they're not good enough. That's very true. So this is this is all part of like sales. If you like, have you ever like gone to like a grocery store or whatever, and you're looking at something to like buy, and you want something that's good for you, and you look at the same thing in different brands, and you have like 3 different price ranges: low, high, and medium. And oftentimes, if we look at it, it's too, like we can say, "Oh, that's really cheap. It's probably gonna break, or it's gonna be like really bad for ourselves." That's where that comes in. Is if you are too low, then iPhone versus Android, Apple versus pretty much everyone else, exactly the same thing. If you're too low, people will just assume that your quality is terrible. If you're too high, people will assume your quality is very good, but out of their range. And that there's some psychological stuff you could do called anchoring, where you can give the high number first and then give the low number. And when you anchor them to that high number, and what you can do is make that high number absurdly high, like a joke level high. Like, well, I don't know, $500,000 per hour would be great. But, since we're not working for, I don't know, some Bill Gates or something like that, I'll take $65 per hour. Even though the recipient knows that it's a joke, that anchoring actually affects their brain in a way that like the lower number can be your mid number, and like there's a higher chance they'll accept it. Simas, you're not aware of the law, but you did start working in Denver last month, and you can confirm the company did not ask you for a salary range, just gave an offer. Oh, that's awesome. That's great. There's so many things in marketing that we can use to our advantage. And like, if you really think about it, sales, like when you're selling yourself for getting a job, that is just sales. So all of those skills that salespeople use, super, super important to learn on our side too. Does that answer your question, Trishak? I hope it answers your question to the degree that it's helpful. I know we went off on like a slight tangent for like, where you're like, what resume like is going to be used or cover letter. I guess like my last thing is networking is really, really important here, especially during COVID time. Think of networking as a key that allows you to get past HR and the recruiters like much easier. Like it reduces the level from like, Dark Souls level down to like, I don't know, press A to continue. Or it gives you like a second try with them. And that's just because if you have somebody telling them from the inside, hey, I trust this person. They're pretty awesome. They'll usually make it easier to pass through those interviews. Now that being said, doesn't mean the entire interview process is hard. It just means that it gets slightly easier. All right, let's see, what are we doing? We want to get the button pressed, and so we're going to be calling this entire gamepad next event. So we're going to have some kind of run method on here. I don't know what this is going to be, so I'm not going to go ahead and write the test for this one yet. we'll sort of like figure out what that's going to be. So pub function run. Do we need the context? So gamepad next event. Look at that. We don't need the context at all. Ah, interesting. So if we just do run like that, I don't even know if I need a self. And I want to run, and we want to return a command. At work, what's your programming framework stack? So at my work, we have PHP and Laravel. So PHP language, Laravel on the back end. We have Vue.js on the front end. But we're also we're sort of like in the middle of a transition away from PHP to more of microservices. So we're going to have just a lot of Lambda functions and a lot of other stuff. No admin panel. We programmed our own, so it's all custom admin panel for everything. So it's all Laravel. How much efficient? I really like Laravel. I think that if you're building a large monolithic application, something like Laravel, Rails, what's Python's? I forgot Python's. Django. All of I think those services are like much better because they've already done everything to sort of like set everything up. You can be much faster. You'll be good to go. For microservices, it's really just JavaScript. And then I'm planning on introducing TypeScript to the team so we can have some type safety in there. And then we're also using a lot of AWS features. So things like AppSync, which generates APIs for us without having to like actually program APIs on our own. You don't like PHP, but every time for a web project you use Laravel. It's one of those things where if my job is to provide as much value in as short a period of time as possible, I want to minimize my programming type of like the framework around the business logic. And that's what these frameworks do, is they provide that for me. Then I can spend all my time actually providing value as opposed to, I spent 2 weeks building out the thing that will allow me to build the thing. It's like, yeah, that's how can I justify that to a customer? Now, to myself, I can justify that because it's a lot of fun. And PHP, modern PHP, it's getting so much fast. And it's also just stealing all the language features from every other language. So PHP is getting good by just stealing from everybody else. Sort of like modern JavaScript has like gotten less terrible. PHP is doing the same thing. Okay, so in run, we want to do this entire thing where we're going to get self gamepad next event, and that will give us a looks like an option of a gamepad event, which we can then map on. So okay, so then we can match with that. Okay, so we can do inside of here, if let sum gamepad event equals self dot gamepad dot next event. So that gives us the event here. And we probably want to, I think we match off of this event. And that's, okay, so match off this event dot event, because why not? So match gamepad event dot event. And now, can I do this? Fill match arms. So here's all the different things that we could be doing. So, for example, if a controller is connected, if an axis is changed, interesting, or disconnected. Oh, so we could do something like if a controller is disconnected, we pause the game automatically. Oh, that's simple. That's simply. Rust analyzers are getting more powerful every week. I know it is. It's great, and I keep on installing the updates, and it's wonderful. I love it. So this one is going to be what I'm caring about because every single frame we're running this. And we're getting like what this next event is. Now, what would be interesting here is in one frame, we could do multiple events at the same time, theoretically. And that's where if I'm pressing like, I don't know, left and B, I would have button pressed left and B, but it would be, each event would be on its own. And so I'd have to loop through these until we no longer have any of these events. I wonder if I should do that. Or this should just be essentially we'll just leave it as the queue. Let's leave it the queue and sort of like see how this ends up feeling. This game is simple enough that I don't think we have multiple things together. What happens, let's say you press after end of event loop just before the start of another iteration. I think the idea is that if your button is down, this button pressed will be fired. I think that's what it is. Now, this is unhelpful to me. So what are you? Are you the button? Button pressed. Yeah, okay, so you're the button, and then what are you? You're the code. Okay, so then in here, if I want to determine what our button is, so we're gonna want the config to sort of to store what our like move right is. So move right, maybe like move right raw. I want this. What's our config look like? Oh, I think right now we're only looking at start. Title, start button is just the word start. Cool. Okay. So then we'll do start raw. I'm not sure exactly what I want to do with that. You'll be a string. So then inside of config here, okay, so this one I can test. We can basically test here, assert equal that handle input dot start raw is equal to config dot start button. Okay. Now you'll fail because we don't have this start raw in here yet. So start raw is a string. Do let start raw is going to be equal to config dot start button, and we'll clone that and throw you in here. Mismatch types expected. Oh, struct string found. A GG easy event button. Right, because in our config, we're doing this entire thing where we're converting over to like the button. I forgot about that. Okay, so this gives us an actual event button. So that's fine. We'll make you, instead of this string button, we'll just do button. Start button is the button. And so you'll be start button. Okay, so start button clone. Start button. Bring you into scope. And then down here, you're going to be start button. Okay, now you're upset because we're not returning a command. So maybe at the end of this, let's just do a to-do to make you less unhappy. You mean just after the loop run, button press here, will get registered for the next iteration. Yes, it should. It should, because these are running like at the very least 30 frames per second. And that means unless you're very quick on pressing a button, you're going to be still pressing it when the loop starts running again. This is the first thing we're going to check at the beginning of the loop. So I guess like if you're super fast at pressing buttons, it might not. It might not. But if you are, well, you know what? I don't even know if that's true, because like it's possible that this is just a queue and it holds it. So maybe that's, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it can buffer. Yeah, I don't know. We can do some tests to find out how this works. All right, so if we have our start button here, we're now asserting that is equal there. So then for you, also, you're upset. Okay, you're upset because this entire thing is not really working here. Now, what I have here is, this is option button. And like the button pressed is being passed into update here for all these active scenes. And I think the problem here is I want this to be the commands now that we pass in. So really, all of this can now go away. And instead, we're going to do a self.handle input dot run like that. And then we're going to get a command as try. Oh, we don't return. Okay, never mind. Command. Okay, so this gives us a command, and then we can pass this command in everywhere else. So back to here, let's actually make it return the command that we care about. So we want to check to see if the button pressed is the same as the start button, then it's going to be the command. So if you, so button, I wonder if we can do like this. If button, if you're equal to self.start button, we want to return command. Let's actually add start. Start, like start game. Oh, but it could also be pause, can't it? So we just really want you to be start is the command. And handle input doesn't really care what that means. Is that true? We may need to take into run here, like the current state of what we're doing. Because in that case, like based upon the current scene that we're in, it's going to be either start the game or it's going to be pause. That's going to be interesting. For right now, let's actually just make it return start game. So maybe instead of start right, we'll do start game. So command start game. I don't think I can mock any of this. So I don't think I can run a test for run. Write a test for run. For the rest of you, I don't care about this. This is going to be no ops. You're going to return out of here, into here, out of here, out of here. Oh, and then we're going to have no command. So there's just no command. Should this be an option then? Oh, this should probably be an option. Make this an option, command. If there is a command, it will be start game. Otherwise, it's going to be none at all. So for all of you, we're going to return none. You're none. If button, start game. Okay, so then this is else, none. And you will be an sum. Like that. And what are you upset about? If may be missing, okay, then down here and else. If there is no gamepad event, then we're returning a none. All right, so that makes us happy. So then theoretically, we can come back up to you. You'll be an option. Okay, so button pressed is an option command. I want to, let's say we just don't do any of this for right the second. One error. Where's our error? Cannot borrow you as mutable. Okay, so you need to be mutable. All right, so then at this point in time, we can now debug the button pressed. And we can see what the command is going to be. Danny Fritz, good morning. Is this going to be limited to one gamepad event per frame? I think so, yes. The way I've written this right now, it definitely is. Oh, command doesn't implement debug. So let's go ahead and implement debug for command. Derive debug. That's it. Let's go ahead and cargo run this. So if I press, so it's none. If I press like start, we see start game. So we actually got that. So that's perfect. All right. So we're able to get that. What I really want to also do is make sure that based upon what state we're in, that start button should do start game or pause. That might be something that we can test. So in handle input, we have this run. We'll match into here. This should probably go into another function, which then I can write the test for. So we could basically pass in, if this button is the start button and so like pass the button in and the current scene is, okay, yeah, that's what we're gonna do. So we'll do a function ci, oh, you need to be a test. Function ci test. This is gonna be start game. So like handle input start game. All right, what do we need? We need the current scene. So that we're gonna be, let's see, have our scene be a, what does that look like? Is it like a scene system? Scenes. Active scene. Okay, so I know how to create the active scene. Oh. Active scene. And I want to make you be start. Okay, so if our active scene is start, okay, so let start scene equals that. We need to create a new handle input, which means we need a config. So config equals config load. Okay. We can't run here because I don't have this entire gamepad event thing that I can do. But what I can do instead is this other function where we're going to pass the button in. So maybe like handle button pressed. Basically, it's going to convert a button pressed to a command. Unless GERS allows me to like press a button through, like mock that, I don't think I can. So it'll have to be this different function then. I'll get the event. We'll pass in the button. We'll have the self. So then we'll check to see if based upon, so this one is run. I guess like maybe handle. If we do that handle input equals handle input new, that's a reference to the config. Unwrap you. Okay, so we're good there. Then I want to that command equals handle input dot, what are we going to call this? So we have run, and this is going to be the more private function that's sort of like convert to command. It's like calculate command, get command. It's really button to command. What if I do that? Button to command. That will have like a mutable self or a self. We'll pass in the button. So in this case, it'll be the config dot start button. And also we care about the current scene. So start scene. You're probably going to be a reference to that. Actually, it doesn't really matter. Those can be cloned pretty easily. And then we expect to have the command here be a type command start game. So we should be able to do an assert equal command and command start game. Actually, you okay. Now you're just yelling at me that there is no function button to command. So let's go create that. This will be a private function. So just function button to command. I don't know if we need mute self. Let's just try self. And we know that we need to take in the button. So the button pressed, which is going to be a reference to a button, I think. I mean, I can also take ownership of it. We don't really care. And also the scene that we're in. So current scene is active scene. And we're going to return a command. I suppose in this case, we should return an option command. Well, let's just do command first. Let's run this test and see if it works. So then in here, we're going to pass. Going to pass you in. Why do Rust want to have their own foundation? Rust wants to have their own foundation, from what I understand, so that they can become a completely independent entity, not reliant on any. Oh God. Thank you, SureShock. Oh man, that teaches me to answer too quickly. That timing was great because I started answering it right when you got that answer in. Thank you so much. Also the answer, instead of my entire long soliloquy, was because it wants to be owned. Thank you so much, SureShock. That's awesome. Okay. What was I doing? We want to see, partial equals implementing for command. Let's go ahead and implement that. That'll make you happy. We have an error here. Mismatch types. Oh, that's because it's not actually doing the thing. So let's say I just cheat and I return commands. Like if I just return start game, like that's not really going to help us. Let's actually write the thing. So that we have our button and start scene. So okay, if button. Do we want to match on the current scene or the button? I'm not sure. If the button is equal to self.start button and the current scene is equal to, I guess we want to use the matches. Matches, we can have current scene and active scene start. Okay, so if that, then our command is going to be start game. Oh, I see the way this works. If I don't do this to begin with, and we just lie, and we just say, hey, we're always going to return start game. This should make this test pass. It does. Okay. But as soon as we write another test here, to make pause happen, No, it wouldn't even be pause. At this point in time, I want to, okay, so test had input start game. So really this is going to be, yeah. So if I copy you to you again, so this is going to be nothing. So start, start game while ended. Instead of this will just be our scene is end. Config, open up, load up the config, handle, create the handle input. We get the command, and now we expect the command to be a none because you shouldn't do anything. Cannot find value, start scene in the scope. Right, you're just scene now. And so this is letting us know, hey, we can't compare a none to just a command. So we need to go and change these to say, well, really you need to be options. So you need to be an unwrap here. And here you're going to be just a none. Are you none thing? All right, so then back up to here. You're an option command. We can now bring back you, and you become a sum. A sum command else become a none. And if we run all these tests, both these tests, you're happy, and you're happy. Okay, so both them are fine. All right, so that gives us now, if we're in the start scene and we press start, we move on, and we get our command. Okay, so back to you. You become an option command. We get our button. Instead of this, we can now run self.button to command, pass in the button and the current scene. So we need the current scene. Okay, so then we're going to come back to the main library and now use this properly. So self.handle input, run, and we need the current scene. So self.active scene. Cannot move out of here. I guess let's do this as a reference then. Okay, so current scene, you need to be a reference. Which means you down here need to be a reference and a reference. Okay. Then we have our debug, it gets pressed. Okay, so now we have our option command. So if we bring you back, I want to say when this button pressed, you're upset because this button pressed is supposed to be an option button, but I want to change that to be an option command. So we need to go to the various scenes here. So scenes, so like start scene, So trait scene, button pressed is option command. Import command mu. Then you're all upset. Now, can I? I was hoping like there would be an auto fix for this. That would have been really cool, but no. Okay. Command. Oh wait, we need to pull you in too. Okay. And then start scene. Okay, so you're going to be the important one here. All right, so if let some command equals button pressed. So we probably want to rename this to like the command. Okay, so if let some command equals the command, so unwrap that around. If button, so we don't need to check this at all. What we do need to do is check to see if it matches. So if matches, this is going to be the command and command start game. So if start game was passed in, then switch to the main scene. So if we do this, in our main library, we're going to say view. Okay, we're all happy there. And then in our config.json, we don't have anything here because where do we put what our like default start command is? Here, we're going to do to start. And then we're going to run this. So first we'll do a cargo test. Everything is passing there. And if we do a cargo run, we have our start screen. And if I press the start button, we move into the next scene. And if I press the start button again, it doesn't do anything. And we shouldn't have gotten any errors. Okay, that's good. And if I press any other button, what happens? Nothing. Okay. Just the start button. Okay, perfect. So now if anything like more complicated comes up, like we need to handle multiple buttons or anything happens, just we're gonna have to update in that handle input and nothing else will have to care about that. Perfect. So once we're in the main scene, then we want that like the move right to have happen. So if we go into our config.json, and we also have like move right button. I don't even know what. Let's open up the docs. Cargo doc. Open. Let's go take a look at the documentation and see if it tells me what we're looking for here. So we want gears. Oh, I guess it's part of GGEZ. Okay, so gamepad. Where's that? There was something that like showed. Maybe it was button. Here it is. D-pad. Oh, that's not helpful. Okay, so button. Here we go. Here's our enum button. D-pad right is what I care about here. So move right button is going to be D-pad right. So if we take this, we go to our mod config. Here's our start button. Move right button is going to be a button. Move you down. Okay, so then this should now create that. So start a button. If we go take a look at our button here. Okay, we're gonna have to match on you. So we button D-pad right. Serialize string on. Oh, stop. D-pad right. Okay, so that should give us our D-pad right now. Oh, and at deserialize, we need to do the exact same thing. That's in the opposite. So this is serialized to the words D-pad right, and this is D-pad right. So if it's that text, then I want to return it. Okay, button D-pad right. All right, so that gives us our button for D-pad right. I want to now go into handle input. We'll do right button here. Maybe this will be like move right. So button. Move right button. Okay, so clone that. And then move right. Okay, so that makes you happy there. Nothing else changes in run here. But in button to command, we're gonna get the current scene and the button. So we already have like if this matches and can I do, I know I can do ors. I think I can do matches with ands, right? So if I convert this to a match, so match on button, oh no, I don't know how to do that. Because we need to match on like button and current scene. This would essentially be an else if. And then this is going to be the button is equal to. You can match on a tuple. Match button current scene. Oh. I hadn't thought about that. Let's try it. Here, if I take you out, let's try a match on a tuple, button, current scene. Then for the arm of this, it would be a tuple. So the button would have to be self.start. Oh, wait. What are you going to be? Oh, I don't know how to like set you equal to that, right? Button. Oh, button start. Oh, but I don't know how to set that right equal. Because I don't want, like, I want it to be more dynamic instead of just like hard coding this D-pad right. So I don't know how to do this right off the top of my head. Using type there, because what I want to do is I want to essentially match if the button is the start button. I mean, could I do self dot? Yeah, I can't do start button. Huh. You can use if and match arms? Wait, really? Really? So if button is equal to self.start button. Not like that. Button active scene start if button. Wait, hold on. Let's try this. Button active scene start if button is equal to self.start button. Oh, wow. Okay, so if I could do this, then we would return some command start game. Oh, that's nice. I like that. Also, oh no, SureShock, you got timed out by Nightbot. What happened? Let me take a look. Oh, you tried to do something from web.mit.edu. Interesting. Is this the Rust book self-hosted by MIT? That's fascinating. I didn't know they did that. But okay, it's the same. Yeah, it's the same. Like how to do that. So thank you, SureShock. Also, thank you, Danny Fritz, for that. I think this will make it look a lot nicer. So for the match, we have this button here. We also want. Okay, so button, and then we're gonna have the active scene main. If button is equal to. Oh wait, hold on. So before I do this, let's make sure that everything else works. So none is what's passed in here. So if I save you, we get rid of you. Do your tests still work? Ah, they do. Okay, perfect. So then I want to add in our test. Basically, if we're in the main scene and we press the right-hand button, we want to move right. Okay, so test. This is going to be our CI test handle input. This is really like less of handle input. This is more of button to command. Button to command. This is right. Right button to command main scene. So our scene is going to be the main scene. Going to bring in config.json. We're going to handle input, and we expect our command. So we want you to be a command. Move right. Expected enum option. Oh, we want you to be a unwrap you. Okay, so you should error out. Called unwrap on a none value. Okay, perfect. So then in here, we want to do the same thing. We're gonna have a button. We're gonna have an active scene main if button is equal to self dot move right. Some command move right. Then we should be able to test this and everything should be happy. It's not. What happened? Still caught an option unwrap on a none value on line 98. So that's here. So they're not, it wasn't the same. So move right. So the start button was the same, but the move right was not. So I feel like what I want to do is maybe right here, do a debug of the button. And we'll run this. That was the wrong. Turn you back on. I want to panic. That. So just print out the button and panic right away. So we don't get like the infinite scroll out. Okay, so cargo run, and I'm just gonna press the right button, and that's it. So right button, that quits. And okay, so we get D-pad right. That's what we have in. And okay, let's do button. And let's also do self dot move right. Wonder if we want to debug assert there? Maybe. Okay, so here we have button move D-pad right. Self move right is D-pad right. Okay, so they are the same. Kind of. Not, don't press Alt F4 again. Do that. Okay. So I need to maybe we need matches. Button and self dot move right. Oh, I can't do that here. I can't do that inside of matches. Oh, that's interesting. We could just do button equal to self dot move right. Yeah, we could just do, oh wait, that's the same thing, right? We could just do a debug assert. Let's try it. Debug assert equals button self dot move right. There we go. That's what we want. Panicked. Huh. At explicit panic. Okay, so they're not the same. They're not the same. The start button is the same, but the okay. What do I have on here? We have like button dot oh, okay. What if I do something like this? Button as U8 and then self.move right as U8. I can do that. That failed also. I'm curious what those are. I want to debug. What are those? Okay, so then this will work. We'll convert them to U8s and then test them. So we'll have our button here and our active main scene. Okay, so if button as U8 is equal to self.move right as U8, then return some command move right. Fun. Now if we do this as cargo test, do you work? No, you failed. Unwrap on a none value. If I do a cargo run. Well, I guess cargo run's not going to help me. Because I'm not actually like doing anything with that. So what's happening here? We're expecting you to be a command move right. Okay, so here we expect you to have some command. So match you. If you're a combination of this, so if you're this one. Oh, you heading out, Shurshock? Have a great night. Return some command move right. I mean, that makes sense. We are testing you as a main scene, right? Yeah, you're the main scene. Now, which error is failing? Which test is failing? Is it maybe not that one? Line 100? No, okay, it is really this one right here. Config. So we load the config up. Handle input. We create a new handle input. Command. So handle input dot button config start button. Move right button. It's a problem with copy paste testing. There we go. Okay. Now did I not need to do this? Could I just do this one exactly the same? Okay. Oops. All right. So we figured out what that button is. We got the right button moving. So what does that mean? We now have our command being passed into the main scene here. So you're the command. Now we need for the player, we now need an update. The player is a game object that's being stored in here. So we need to go into game object. We're going to add in an update. I don't think we're going to need context for this. Like what are we going to need out of this? We're going to need the location because the location is part of the game object itself. So we're going to need a mutable, the location, which is going to have to be a mutable reference to a point 2, F32. And we're going to need the command. Which is going to be a reference to an option command. Where is that coming in? Yeah, right now we're getting this button pressed, this option, and oh, we're passing it straight through. Okay. We're giving it ownership. So where's our other mod? Here you are. Our command is going to be an option command. And for right now, probably nothing else. We'll probably need to do something. That might be it. We won't return anything for right now. Oh wait, I wanted you in the trait. Wait, do we have a trait? Implement game object. Oh, we don't have a trait for this. Oh, hold on. Okay, so right, okay, so update's gonna take you. We're gonna need a physics system in here. That's gonna take an option because not everything has physics system. And then a Box-Dine physics system. Okay. But then you are basically just gonna not do anything right this second. So testing wise, I don't know if we can test the physics system for this specifically. But each individual physics system we probably can. So let's go ahead and create physics system. Physics systems, we have you. So new file via mod.rs. And then we also know we're going to create a new file, player physics system .rs. Okay, so then in our main library, we'll mod this in. Oh my gosh, why can't I spell physics? Okay, so bring you in, and for you, we're gonna do a pub mod player physics system. And then we're gonna create our trait for this too. So pub trait, it's gonna be a physics system. What? I guess it's just gonna be an update, right? So we're gonna have a function update mute self. So this is where we know we're gonna have to have that location and the command. That's like, and we're probably gonna pass the command straight through in. Give it ownership of it, most likely. Okay, so that's gonna be location is 0.2. Let's qualify you. 32. I'm gonna qualify it for this one because that way when it like auto fills out when we create these physics systems, it's gonna be so much easier for it. Okay, so we have our location, and then we're also gonna have to have the command, which is gonna be right now an option command. Qualify that too. That, and I don't think we're gonna need anything out of here. So on to main scene, we can save you for right now. And in player physics system, let's go ahead and set ourselves up for test this section. So this is gonna be CI test new player physics system. Okay, so let player physics system equals player physics system new. What is this going to take in? It probably is going to need like the speed and everything else, so it's going to need that config. So we have to pass in a reference to the config. And we know we're going to get a player physics system out of it. So just running this should be fine. So we need a config. Okay. After that, I don't know if we necessarily need to pass anything else in. It'll just, the player physics system will know what it needs. But based upon this, we should know that there's a speed that we need when we move to the right. And then besides that, I don't think we need necessarily anything else. Maybe like a default state of what we're in. We don't have that. So maybe, oh, and that might be internal. So let's try right now. If I just do this, already, like, obviously this won't work. So let's go ahead and fix it. Struct player physics system. We don't know what to store in yet. Impl player physics system, new. We're going to take in the config. and we're going to return self. Okay, we run you should be fine. Okay, perfect. Then we want to have like a default state that the player is going to be in. And that's going to be part of physics. Because like nobody else necessarily cares. Oh no, like other states will have their own things, probably. So for this one, let's create an enum. So pub enum. This is going to be, I guess, just like the player state. And we'll have it just like standing is all we're doing. And we'll state, so assert equal the player physics system dot state should be equal to player state standing. I think we need to, you need to exist. So state is going to be a player state. And then we need to derive. No, not that. Derive partial equal. And then also derive, wait, which one needs to derive debug? Player state, okay. Debug. All right, so that makes you happy. We're still getting an error here. So for our initial state, we could then just lie now, say that we're in a standing state. So we'll just say let state equals player state standing. And I guess like it's true, when we first start, we're in a standing state. So running this test, we're good. Now, when the command comes in to start moving to the right, we want to start moving to the right. So we have our location, but we're also going to need a velocity. So our velocity should be 0. And that's going to be interesting because a velocity is going to be an F32 too. So I also want to do assert equal player physics system dot velocity is going to be equal to 0.0. Now, Clippy is going to yell at me and say, well, okay, first we need to add in our velocity here. It's an F32. And we're going to set that velocity equal to 0.0. Velocity. Okay. Now you should yell at me because, hey, strict comparison of F32. We want to like turn that off. In this case, when we're starting with this, it should exactly be what we want it to be. So we're going to be take you and allow us to do a float comparison. So we should still be fine here. Then we need our speed to be stored. So let's go ahead and add that in too. So assert equal is be player physics system dot speed is equal to our config dot player. Do we have like a player speed? We don't. Okay, so we need to add that in. So it's gonna be like player speed. So a few things that need to be fixed here are config. So JSON, we need to add in player speed. And let's just set this to be something like 5.0. I have no idea if that's correct or not. And our mod .rs. Okay, you should be happy there. And then now speed gets stored away in here. It's F32. Player speed. Okay, so we store that away. Everything should still be fine. Okay, then what I want to do is run like one tick of the update while we're moving right, and our location should increase. And I suppose that if we move one tick while we're not moving right, like with the command is not showing that we're moving right, then we should not move to the right. So maybe we could do like the not moving to the right first. Which means, of course, we need to impl physics system for player physics system. Implement the missing members. All right, so we bring all of you in. Everything is happy here. And then for our update, I guess before I do that, we want a new function. A function CI test update player not moving. So we need the player physics system, so we need the config, we need a new player physics system. Once we have that, I need, for update, we need a location. So let a location, this is going to have to be mutable, equals 0.2 new. And let's just say that this is like 0.0 and 0.0. I also need a command. So that command equals import command you. Let's have you. Oh, it's going to be nothing, right? So we're not moving. So there's no command. Then we want to run our update and pass in none for that. So we're going to say player physics system dot update, pass in mute mutable reference to the location. And for the command, we want to pass in none. And then we're going to assert equal that the location.x is now whatever this location is. So that plus the speed. So that's going to be config.player speed. And also assert equal location.y is still 0.0. That's what I want to see after one go through here. You mismatch types. All right, so you are not, okay, so you need to be a mutable reference here, which means I need to update you. You need to be mutable. And then assert equal. Strict comparison. Okay, so we need to pull in you again. All right, let's see if this test works. It does not. What happened? Oh, panicked and not yet implemented. Exactly, because we have this to do in here. So for this, if the command is none, so if let some command equals command, and here we have a to do, else we're gonna do, oh, this is, I might test wrong. We expect the location of x to also still be 0.0 at this point in time. Because we're not moving. We shouldn't update the location if we're not moving. Okay, so else is going to be just, we don't do anything at this point in time then. So if we don't have a command, there's nothing to do. All right, so run you. We're all happy. I just run them all. We're all happy. Okay, perfect. Now, I want to test the player moving to the right. So we're going to duplicate this test. So player moving right. It's going to be exactly the same thing, except now we're also going to have a command. So command is equal to command move right. And we're going to pass in a sum command. And now we expect x to be equal to config.player speed. That's what we expect. And we should get a panic error because, yeah, we got that failure. It panicked at not yet implemented. So in here, so we have a command. If the command is, and I wonder if I want to match on this. Now that we have tests, like it doesn't matter. Like we can just write this however we want. And as soon as we get later, later ones, it's going to be very interesting. So we do, if command is equal to command move right, then we want to say dereferenced location.x plus equals the self dot velocity. Yes, but also before that we want to Oh, actually, you know what? I want to do this outside of here. Regardless of what the command is, we're updating the location to the velocity. But here, we're going to update the velocity. So self.velocity plus equals to self.speed. Okay. Now what's your upset? Oh, type F32 cannot be dereferenced? Oh, right, it auto dereferences because of the dot here. So that should be fine. Failed to resolve. Oh, I don't have command in. Okay. Then you should be fine if we run just one of those, like one tick through the update, and everything is good. Okay, so that means it is going to move to the right while I'm holding down. It's never going to not move to the right. That's a problem. So we probably want to then state that if there's none, I want to reset the velocity. So if we do one more of these tests, so update stop player moving right. So we're going to do the exact same thing here. We're going to start the player moving right. So we do this. We assert. I shouldn't need to assert equal these because we're already testing that we started moving to the right. And then we're going to do another one. So player physics system dot update location, and then a none for the command. So there's no more commands moving to the right. I want to just halt myself right there. Maybe in the future, I want to do something where we slow down a little bit and we can update these tests when we get there. So our location.x should be still equal to our player speed, and our y should still be that. So this should be still correct. After one move, we should only have moved one tick, like one amount of player speed. Oh, we did not. Okay, so left was 10. Oh, right, because I haven't actually implemented that code yet. So test-driven development, it's fun. So then here, if command, okay, so then else, if there's no command, we want to say self.velocity is equal to 0.0. So reset velocity. Then our test should be fine again. There we go. Okay, perfect. And then to hook this up and make it so I can actually watch myself moving to the right, we're going to have to add the player physics system to the actual player. So in our game objects for mod, so here's our game object. We also want to have a physics system. Do we care about these? So create empty game objects. Okay, yeah, we're doing this as like a player, right? So that player physics system equals player physics system can't bring you in. Why is that? Player physics system is here. It's public. The mod for physics system is pub mod for that. Okay, so that should be going down. And then in library, we have physics system here. I'm curious, how do I bring in the draw system. Use create draw systems, player draw system, player draw system. Okay, so can you not? Did I misspell you? This is gonna be physics systems, player physics system, player physics system. Oh, ooh, hold on. That's my problem. You're not supposed to have snakes in them. Okay. There we go. You'll be happier now. Okay, so let a player physics system create a new player physics system. You are no function new. Okay, so we create a new player physics system. We return that, so you're happy now. What do you need? You need a config. So you need a reference to a config, which we don't have. Okay, so that gives us a player physics system. I now expect that I need to pass in a box new player physics system here. And probably a sum, because not everything is going to have that. So it's going to be a sum box new player physics system. And then unwrap, and then ensure that that everything else should be the same. So that should still work. Okay, so in the game object here, we're going to have a physics system is going to be an option that has a box, a dyn physics system. Okay, and then that's going to come in here. So physics system is going to be an option box dyn physics system, and we'll just store that in here. Okay, so that made that first test passed. For this test passed with this drawing the game object, we now need to do the same thing that we had before. So we actually don't need to have we'll just do a none for the physics system, so nobody really cares about that. Okay, so that handles the test for the game objects. And then when we run update on this, we want it to update the player physics system. So I don't know what I can do for this other than marking that it ran, but the actual running of it is somewhere else. So not exactly sure what the best test update game object. We do location, player draw system. Because I don't know if I really care that it runs the update on this specifically. Maybe I do. So we are going to care about the location, which is internally. Okay, so let's actually create our game object. So here's our player. So we'll just name this player is this. We'll need the physics system also. So actually move this up here. Okay, so player physics system, new, pass the reference to config. Okay, so that gives us that. And here we're going to sum box new. We just call this the physics system. Okay, unwrap that. Okay, so that gives us our player game object. We don't need the context. So the CI test might actually work. I don't care about images. And I don't care about drawing at this point in time. Now what I care about is running update. Which means, okay, game object. So player is going to have to be mutable. The physics system is probably going to have to be mutable. We draw system. We need you just because. Location. Oh, it's going to be owned by that. Okay, so game object dot update. We're going to have to pass in. It's going to pass in its own location that's stored internally. Then the config is going to have. Oh, depending upon what we tell it to do, that's going to like change how that update happens. So if we just have like a config command of none, nothing should. It should just run and everything should be fine. Now we don't really care how it mutates. Is that true? Right, because the physics system cares about that. So I should just be able to say, okay, command update. You're gonna pass in the location. Really, you're gonna pass everything through. I don't even know if we need. All we're gonna need, I think, is the command. So we need to create a new command. So command is gonna be a command. And let's just say that we're moving right. And so an update, we need an option. So it's gonna be some command. And is there anything else we care about this? I don't know. And you're just the player update. What else would we care about? In our player physics system, for update, the location of command, that's all we care about. So yeah, that's fine. This is fine. Everything's fine. Okay, so in here, update, we don't take in the location here. We just take in the command, which is an option command. If we have a player, then we run, okay, if we have a player game, like a physics system, we're going to update that. So if let physics system equals self dot physics system, then we want to run update on it. So physics system dot, let's see. If let sum physics system. It's starting to get tired. Okay, I think I'm gonna hope that I'm gonna see if we can get to this moving to the right And if we do that, then I'm gonna get done because I need to go get lunch. Okay, so physics system dot update, mutable self dot location, and then pass the command straight on through. And that's it. You're fine here. What about you? Failed to resolve, use undeclared type module, player physics system. Okay, so that's because you are actually a player physics system. Okay. I don't want all of you. So just you are a player physics system. Okay, so what are you upset? This function takes 3 arguments, but 2 arguments were supplied. Right, okay, so this is the main scene. We're now creating this, which means we now need to create the player physics system. So we can just do that straight up here. So this is going to be a sum box new player physics system. Import you, new, and then a reference to the config. Okay. Cannot move out of self.player physics system. I don't want you to. No errors. All the tests are working. Does this just magically work for us now? So if I hit start, hitting right, and nothing is happening. Okay. What does that mean? What's going on? Because we're not calling update. That's our problem. So in our main library, we have to tell the main scene to update. So hold on. The main scene update is here and it's doing nothing. So we need to we have the player. So for you, update, we're going to do self.player.update. Why don't I see that? And then we pass in the command like that. Associated function update is private. Okay, that's a problem. You need to be public. Okay, let's try this. Okay, it kind of moved. So when I'm holding down, like when I press the button many times, it gets pressed down. When I'm holding it down though, the player doesn't move. Like it moves like that one time, but then it's done. So that's a problem there. I need to like find out how. Okay, so when I'm getting like the new event, that's not it's not telling me if it's like being held down or not, if the button is down. Because the event is just the button. Was there more that I can look into this? So this is the handle input. Button repeated. Okay. So button pressed, like when it's first pressed. So do I want something like button pressed, we like start moving to the right. So this is going to be move right. Oh, okay. So maybe we need to like change this to start moving right. So how would I change that test-wise? So let's see. Start game. Nothing. So if I want to do something like you press the right button and then when you release it, it stops moving right. So we're going to have moving right. Is there a better way to do this? Could I also like in here have button repeated? So button. I don't know if I care about the code. Button to command, button and current scene. Okay, so if I send that through also, cannot find value button, because you should be button, lowercase. Okay. Still doesn't do that. If I hold it down, it's still not moving. So that's not working either. So button repeated is not correct. I may have to do something where it's like when I start the button, so like when I press the button, we like start moving right. So this would have to be switched to like start moving right. So what would that end up looking like here? Okay, so start game. Start game will ended. Okay, so test right button. Okay, so this is gonna be CI test right button while stopped. Then does that mean we're gonna have to have some kind of like state? No, because we'll just say like, hey, if we release the right button, we're gonna stop moving right. That's all we're gonna say. So you should be start moving right. Okay, so you'll obviously error out for that. So you can be start moving right. Okay, then here, if the button is self.move right and we're in a main scene, then you're start moving right. We're gonna put you back to none. And in button released, do button self button to command, button and current scene. So if the button released is the right hand button, then that means we want to stop moving to the right. So if button equals self button move to right. Ooh, so how do I also know like where we are? This one is pretty simple. If we start pressing a button, we're just doing that button moving to the right. With this one, we probably want to do an if check here. So if this button ends up equaling command start moving right, I actually want to translate that and return command stop moving right. Oh man. Which that feels terrible. And of course, if we have else, if it's not moving to the right, then we want to like just continue whatever we previously were continuing. Oh no. Okay, so I think I'm gonna have to rethink how this works in general. Because we're gonna have to have like some other state, like management, for this. Because we're gonna have like this input handler for like what the command is that we're pressing. I really wish this button repeated worked. That would have been so nice. Out of curiosity, if I do this, can I just debug button? Like, will that show me that like we're pressing this button over and over and over again? And I guess we'll turn a none. And maybe I'll do a string. So, hello. Oh, it doesn't like that at all, or someone else's. Okay, we're gonna bring this back to move right. That'll make everyone happy. And cargo run. So I'm gonna move you over to the other window so we can see this. And so start. Yeah, it's just hitting that other one. I mean, does it match this from top to bottom? Like if I end up doing that, does that change how this works? No. That doesn't, because the button repeated, this controller must not repeat them automatically? We'd have to get like button. Okay. So I'm gonna have to think about what this is. It is 12:55. I need to go grab lunch and I'm gonna go for a hike probably. Think about like how I want to actually implement this. And then I'll be back tomorrow morning to continue working on this. And it's gonna be great because tomorrow is the first day of my vacation for the Thanksgiving week. I've taken, and What's really awesome is I got my entire team is taking vacation for the week, so I have to be like a little bit on call because if none of us are there, if there's any emergencies with our code, I'm going to be the one responding to that. But that means I can do long streams in the morning every single day next week. Maybe not Thursday, but until that's going to be pretty awesome. So I'm going to figure out how I want to handle this. The test should help us refactor if we want to. And I'll be back tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Mountain Time to continue working on this. And so with that, I'm going to switch over to my ending screen. Thank you everybody so much for stopping by. I mentioned I'll be back tomorrow morning and that we're all going to have long streams. So I hope that you will have a great rest of your day, be it evening, night, morning, midday, whenever it is. Enjoy your Sunday. And with that, I'll see you all next time. Bye.